maps. Guys, you're doing it wrong. So many voices are complaining about how the game became boring, how it doesn't really feel like a true Battlefield anymore. Some even say they can't finish a single round because they lose interest halfway through. As someone who's more or less on the same page, I decided to make a list. A list of features that should have been in Battlefield from the start. I tried to imagine the version of Battlefield I would genuinely enjoy playing. While doing that, I came up with a lot of ideas. Some that could realistically be implemented within 3 to 6 months, and others that would take much longer, or probably wouldn't happen at all because, well, you know how it goes. Less time, more money, business rules. Business. Then, I realized something. Originally, I planned to do a full breakdown for every feature I want to see in the game. But as you'll notice in a moment, my very first topic was maps, and I quickly realized how massive this issue really is. There's just too much to cover. So I decided to dedicate this entire video to one single question. How can Battlefield 6 be improved from a map design perspective? Maybe I'll cover the rest in future videos. Everything you're about to hear is purely my personal opinion, so disagreements are more than welcome. Let me know what you think in the comments. But before we jump in, here's my shiny subscribe animation. As I've mentioned in my previous videos, Battlefield 6 currently has a major problem, and that problem is its maps. Something must have happened in DICE's map design department. I don't know what, but whatever it was, it's a far cry from those glorious days of iconic Battlefield maps. Right now the maps feel soulless. They lack fun, identity, and most importantly, they don't feel like Battlefield. They feel like they belong to an entirely different game. So what exactly is wrong? First of all, almost every map follows the same formula. A large, mostly flat play area filled with buildings and objects, but very little meaningful elevation or strategic depth. Capture points don't feel important or tactical. Instead, it feels like a checklist approach to map design. Start with a flat terrain. Add slight elevation so it looks natural. If it's urban, add a few 3 to 4 story buildings. If not, add someone to 2-story structures and military cover. Spread capture points evenly. Add extra buildings around those points. And done. It feels like they tried to design semi-symmetrical, competitive, arena-style maps while loosely applying Battlefield elements on top, and the result is not fun. What happened to asymmetric main bases? One team starting on an aircraft carrier, the other defending from land? I'll get back to that later, but right now every match starts the same way. Both teams spawn in nearly identical environments. Flat ground, similar distances to the first capture point, and within 30 to 60 seconds, both teams collide somewhere in the middle. The fight starts, and then it spreads. But where does it spread? Still within a very small radius. If I had to visualize it, I'd draw a circle. Because in a simplified way, almost every Battlefield 6 map follows this exact circular layout. There's one exception, Liberation Peak. Liberation Peak is currently the most Battlefield-like map in the game. I still don't think it's great, but its shape and flow feel closer to classic Battlefield compared to the rest. That said, it still follows a similar formula. I understand why this happened. DICE has years of heatmap data showing where players go and which parts of maps are underused, so they redesigned maps so that every inch is a hotspot. And that was the mistake. This part of the video wasn't in the original script, but I added it later after we got the Season 2 news, especially the return of Battlefield 4's Golmud Railway. EA also stated that they're not simply remaking the map, but actually redesigning it, and this is exactly the point I'm trying to make here. This is the original Golmud Railway map, and this is a possible heat map. So, based on this heat map and the current gameplay flow, EA will most likely redesign the map into something similar to this. I really hope I'll be wrong. Anyway, my point is, Battlefield needs cold spots. Battlefield isn't just about what players do, it's also about what they don't do. Let's look at Sinai Desert from Battlefield 1. At first glance it follows a similar structure. Main bases, 2 flags near each base, and central objectives where the action heats up. But here's the difference. There's an isolated flag at the bottom, and a massive cold area around it. To EA and DICE, that area probably looks wasted in heatmap data. Nothing happens there most of the time, so they remove it. They compress the battlefield until only hotspots remain. If Sinai Desert were remade for Battlefield 6, it would probably look like this. G-spot can be optional. Now let's look at Battlefield 6 maps and how symmetrical they are. Take Manhattan Bridge. You can see the symmetry immediately. Two main bases, first capture points at nearly identical distances, two secondary flags attached to those, and a perfectly centered middle objective. It's almost a square. Now Merak Valley, same pattern again, two close flags near each base, identical distances, two middle objectives so close together they could honestly be one. There is a C point slightly further out, clearly trying to imitate the Sinai Desert concept, but it's extremely limited. It's still visible, still easy to harass, and never allowed to truly become a cold zone. It feels like the designers are afraid to let parts of the map breathe. You can see this exact formula in every Battlefield 6 map. New Sobek City, Siege of Cairo, great atmosphere but still a Manhattan Bridge clone. Eastwood, Empire State. And speaking of Empire State, where is the Empire State? When I first heard that name, I expected at least part of the actual building. Instead, we got Brooklyn streets. If I'm missing something here, let me know in the comments. So far, I've talked about capture point symmetry. But there's another issue, the play area itself. Every Battlefield 6 map is essentially a flat arena that fits neatly inside a circle, almost like an arena shooter. Let's compare that to older maps. Here's Dragon Valley from Battlefield 2 and later Battlefield 4. Even if you force it into a circle, the variation is obvious. Rivers, bridges, elevation, islands, and diverse capture points. But most importantly, asymmetric starting positions. The US team starts on an aircraft carrier. China starts on the mainland. Even more extreme examples existed in Battlefield 1942 and Battlefield 2, where one faction had an uncapturable main base, while the other controlled all flags at the start, but had no main base at all. Yes, this could lead to frustrating situations back then due to limited spawn options where you wouldn't be able to spawn if all objectives are lost. But today, with modern spawn systems, this design would actually work better than it ever did. This same invasion-style design existed in Sharkey Peninsula, Wake Island, and many other classics. Team A invades, Team B defends. What we have now is Team A and Team B arriving at the same time, fighting over location X. DICE tried to recreate that invasion feeling with Breakthrough, but no matter how good that mode is, it doesn't fully replace what Conquest used to offer. Losing territory step by step in Breakthrough just doesn't hit the same. Even with or without invasion mechanics, we still have a core issue: lack of variation. Look at classic layouts. Kubra Dam, rotated L, road to Jalalabad, rotated C, strike at Karkand, again rotated C but the other way. These shapes create asymmetry. Combined with hills, rivers, bridges, and elevation, the maps feel like real places where battles naturally occur. But these maps weren't perfect either. Their main issue? Traversal. Elevation slows movement. Without vehicles, reaching objectives could take time. And instead of solving this problem by reinforcing Battlefield's strongest pillar, vehicles, DICE chose the easier route: flatten the terrain and shrink the maps. In my previous video, I suggested better solutions: more traversal vehicles across the map. Battlefield 2042's vehicle call-in system.
Requesting transport deployment at this position.
Acknowledged.
A commander who can deploy vehicles to squads.
Roger on the vehicle drop. Over.
Traversal is Battlefield. Vehicles are Battlefield. Instead of improving the core systems, they removed the problem entirely, and that decision directly shaped the current map design. To be clear, I'm not asking for a one-to-one remake of Battlefield 2 maps. I understand that some designs only worked in that era, but in the name of modernizing, Battlefield went too far and lost its soul. What we need is a step back, a middle ground between classic design philosophy and modern gameplay expectations. Because if we don't find that balance, a potentially groundbreaking Battlefield title will be sacrificed to the attention span gods. I've heard that you missed my subscribe animation, so here it is one last time. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think in the comments. As you might have noticed, I read and reply them all. See you in the next video, and as always, see you on the battlefield.